At this point, most fans of Star Wars through media beyond the films, such as the Clone Wars, will be aware of Dave Filoni's explanation as to why Darth Maul's fight against Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, known as the Duel of the Fates, is arguably the most pivotal duel in the franchise. For those unfamiliar or needing a summary, Qui-Gon's demise removes the one figure most likely to help Anakin balance his emotions and dissuade him from turning to the dark side. One aspect of this within the duel, and the excellence of it, is how well it utilises visual storytelling for the character details it displays. If having already seen Filoni's analysis of the duel, you will already be aware how it debunks what I'll call plinkett rhetoric of the false claim that the duel lacks meaningful character motivation, and I'll also recommend these channels if you want to see analyses that counter similar inaccurate claims against the prequels and George Lucas. With Qui-Gon having the strong motivation to protect Anakin and become the mentor and father figure he needs. Though not as pronounced, Obi-Wan also has clear motivation beyond survival in this acting as the trial he needs to pass to become a Jedi Knight, and also acts as a point of character growth for him. Obi-Wan has an aggressive approach to the duel, and is quick to rush in compared to his master's more composed approach, highlighted best when the former rushes down the hall, and is impatient to close the distance between he and Maul, whereas Qui-Gon meditates when gaining a reprieve to help gather his stamina, of which he knows well from his prior duel with the Sith to be an area he's lacking in compared to his younger foe. We'll come back to the conclusion of the duel soon, but must first go over Darth Maul's characterization during it. The claim that Maul lacks any character is another falsehood levied against the duel. Despite his characterization being quite simple, there's still a lot displayed through the classic practice of show, don't tell. First, there's the most simple point of his opposition to the two Jedi as a necessity. It could be claimed that the feats this pair had displayed throughout the film had them border on being Gary Stu's, and, regardless of how accurate you gauge that to be, Maul's presence acts as a clear counter to this, in much the same way other fictional works will use the incredible competency of their protagonist to make instances where they are challenged or outmatched far more impactful than those that have their characters be at a disadvantage or close call too often. The way he fights presents several key facets of his character and some level of complexity. His silence helps show the methodical and calculated nature of his moves, with him knowing when to attack and fall back about as well as Qui-Gon, and far better than Obi-Wan. This also contests Qui-Gon's notion to feel rather than to think, with the two displaying the contrasting philosophies of the Jedi and Sith through actions alone, with Maul acting as a predator stalking their prey during the moment of reprieve, unlike the meditating Qui-Gon, and is content when slaying the Jedi Master through it seeming a symbolic affirmation that the Sith will destroy the Jedi, through him besting the one who could be considered to embody all the qualities of a true Jedi. When Obi-Wan is once more able to fight Maul, we see his aggression and emotionally driven mindset that, drawn on the same values as the Sith, causes him to be unbalanced and has Maul separate him from his lightsaber and even the high ground. It, along with Qui-Gon's final moves against Maul prior, being the only part of the fight lacking John Williams' score, also shows it as where Lucas saw it as most important to view the choreography and how they display the emotions of the characters. An obvious point to those aware of how Lucas purposely directed the Star Wars Saga in a manner similar to silent films, with the action being necessary in displaying details of characterization and plot developments. One detail I find overlooked is the pause of both Obi-Wan and Maul leaving an opening, Some may take the surface level approach of calling it overly flashy spectacle, but it makes sense for both characters, with both goading the other into taking advantage of a false opening, their similar mindsets being a further tie to Obi-Wan's unbalanced nature at that point of the duel. When disarming Kenobi, Maul starts slashing the metal around the hole, again showing characterization in his arrogance and confidence that Obi-Wan will meet his end whether he advances or falls. It's in the climax of the duel that Obi-Wan calms himself and overcomes Maul through adopting Qui-Gon's ideology and trusting in the Force, by calmly waiting to open up an opportunity, the learner having become the master to an extent, and leading into the eventual calmness we come to recognise in the original trilogy. Though many will claim the Duel of the Fates to be the greatest lightsaber duel in the films, and it's something I can see as a contender with one major opposition, it's unfortunate many will do so purely for its action, score, and choreography, despite it having the necessary character motivations, stakes, and visual storytelling to stand on its own whether viewed for pure style or fused with great substance. Thank you if watching until the end of the video. I may make some more Star Wars related content in the near future. If interested in more of such the channel has to offer, there is a video on Andor you may want to watch here.